Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another video of ChemSolve. Today we are gonna solve 507011 October-November 2025 multiple choice paper 1. So let's start the paper. Question number 1 says, the pressure of the sample of the air is reduced and the temperature remains constant. Okay, so what happens? The pressure is being reduced and temperature is constant, which will describe the change in the volume of the air and the distance between the particle in the air. Okay, so before looking at the options, we have to look a gas law that says that pressure and volume are inversely proportional to each other. If we increase the pressure, then the volume decrease. And here we are decreasing the pressure. So if we are decreasing the pressure, then the volume should increase. If volume should increase, then of course A and B are not our options. We have to choose between C or D. Okay, so the other things is the distance between the particle. Obviously, when the volume will increase, then we know that volume is directly proportional to kinetic energy as well. So kinetic energy of the particle will increase and the particle will move further away from each other. So that's why the correct option is option D. Okay, next question. Which substance would diffuse most quickly? Okay, so diffusion depend upon two things. The one is temperature. Temperature is directly proportional to rate of diffusion, and the other thing is molecular mass. Molecular mass is inversely proportional to rate of diffusion. So we have to look the option which diffuse most quickly. So that's why we have to choose the one with the more temperature. That's why A and C, which are at 0 degrees Celsius, are not our options. We have to choose between B or D, which are at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, so now look at the molecular mass of carbon dioxide and neon. Carbon dioxide gas has molecular mass 44 and neon is a monatomic gas, so its AR is 20. So lesser the molecular mass, more is the rate of diffusion. So the correct option is option D. Next question. The main component of the mineral X is calcium carbonate. Okay. X also contains tiny grains of silicon 4 oxide. There are no other substance in X. Which row shows the correct statement about X? Okay, so it contains calcium carbonate and it also contains some grains of the SiO2. So it's mean it couldn't be a compound. So A and B are not our option. We have to choose between C or D. Next, statement 2. X contain only 4 elements. X contain exactly 5 elements. Okay, let's calculate. It has calcium, it has carbon, it has oxygen, it has silicon. We will not consider oxygen again because we have already included in CaCO3. So it has 4 elements. That's why the correct option is option C. Now look at question number 4. The structure of the hydroxylamine NH2OH is shown. Which row about hydroxylamine is correct? Total number of the electron in the molecule. Okay, how to calculate the total number of electron? So let's calculate. It has 1n and it has 3 hydrogen and it contains 1 oxygen. Okay, look at the atomic number or the electron number of nitrogen. It is 7 from the periodic table. Hydrogen has only 1 electron and oxygen has 8 electron. So 7 plus 3 plus 8, total electron are 18. That's mean A and B are not our option. We have to choose between C or D. Now look at the number of electron in the bonds of the molecule. We know that one covalent bond is equal to 2 electron. So in this molecule we have 1, 2, 3 covalent bond and one covalent bond is here between oxygen and hydrogen. Examiner didn't show it, but obviously it exists. So actually we can write it like this: hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, this 1, 2, 3 and 4 covalent bond. So 4 covalent bond mean 2 multiplied by 4 electron. So it would have total 8 electron. That's how C is the correct statement. Question number 5. Metal lose electron when they combine with a non-metal to form an ionic compound. Metal lose electrons and non-metals gain electron. Metal lose electron and that's how they form the positive ion, and non-metal gain electron and they form the negative ion and an ionic compound is being formed. Calcium combined with hydrogen to form an ionic compound, calcium hydride, that is CaH2. How many electrons are there in the outer shell of the 2 hydride ion in CaH2? Okay, so in the outer shell, hydrogen has 1 electron and if it is hydride then it's mean it has gained 1 electron as well. So there are total 2 electrons. That's how the correct statement is this. Examiner isn't asking the outer shell electron of calcium, so we don't need to calculate the electrons of the calcium. We just have to calculate the electrons of hydrogen, and hydrogen has 1 electron and 1 electron has been gained from calcium. So 1 hydrogen has 2 electron and of course 2 hydrogen would have 4 electron. Total 2 their own and 2 are being gained from the calcium. Next, what is the property of the diamond? Diamond is a joint molecular structure. We know that it is a joint molecular structure and it has 4 carbon-carbon covalent bonds. It is hard and it has high melting and boiling point. So according to the first option, it can be used as lubricant. No, it is hard, so it cannot be used as a lubricant. Instead, graphite is used as a lubricant. It has melting point below 200 degrees Celsius. No, it's a giant covalent structure. So it has a very high melting point. It has good electrical conductivity. Not at all. It has many strong covalent bonds. That's why it can't conduct electricity. It's a bad conductor. So the last option says it is hard. Yes, this is the correct option. Question number 7. Which statement about the bonding in the copper is correct? Okay, copper is basically a metal. And for metal, we know that positively charged metals ion are embedded in the sea of electron. So now we have to choose the correct statement. Copper, first two statements says copper atom. No, according to our discussion, copper ion, metal ions. So A and B are not our options. According to option C, copper ions are attracted to the sea of delocalized electron. Yes, it seemed to be the correct one. And option D says copper ions are attracted to a shared pair of electrons. No, electrons are not being shared in the metallic bonding. Instead, the sharing of the electron take place in covalent bonding. So this is not correct. Question number 8. Aluminium ions react with sulfate ion to form the aluminium sulfate. Which row shows the correct empirical formula and ionic formula of the aluminium sulfate? Okay. So look at the options. But before looking at the option, let's form the formula. Al has positive 3 and SO4 has minus 2 charge. What happens? The charges are swapped like that. So Al has 2 here and SO4 has 3 here. And if charges remain same like this, so correct ionic formula is obviously not this, not this, and not this. So we have the only option left is C. But just look at the empirical formula again. So we have 2 Al and 3 sulfur, 4 3s are 12 oxygen. So that's how it matches with our discussion. The correct option is C. Question number 9. Which statement is correct? It's a fact. The concentration is expressed in dm cube per mole. No, it's wrong. It is expressed in mole per dm cube. So this is a wrong statement. Empirical formula of the compound always gives the actual number. No, it gives the simple whole number ratio, not actual. The molecular formula of the compound always contain more atoms than the empirical formula. No, the atom stays same. Only the number of atom changes. So the only option left is D. The relative atomic mass of the element is the average mass of one atom of the element divided by 1/12 of the carbon 12. Yes, this is the correct statement and this is the definition of the relative atomic mass. So D is supposed to be the correct option. How many atoms are there in 27 grams of water? Okay, so how to calculate it? The MR of water is 18. So number of moles of water would be 27 divided by 18. By using calculator, the answer is 1.5 moles. Okay. How many atoms? 1 mole water contains 3 atoms, right? 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, so total 3 atoms. So 1.5 moles of water, how many atoms it would contain? 3 into 1.5, so that is 4.5 moles. But we have to tell how many, we have to give the number. 1 mole is equal to 6.022 10 raised to power 23. We have done already in the mole series. If you have any confusion, you can look at the mole series in the channel. 4.5 moles would be 6.022 10 raised to power 23 times 4.5, and the answer would be 2.709 10 raised to power 24 atoms. So that's how the correct statement is option C. Okay, now question number 11. A mixture of sodium hydrogen carbonate and sodium chloride is heated. The equation for the reaction take place when sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated is shown like this. Sodium chloride is unchanged on heating. When 6 gram of the mixture is heated, the loss of mass is 1.5. Okay, what is the percentage by mass of the sodium hydrogen carbonate in the mixture? Okay, so let's solve this question. Let's understand the process first of all. The loss of mass. Loss of mass must be the gases, because gases are the ones which are being lost during the reaction. So the loss of mass would be this. This is the one which is the loss of mass, and it is 1.5 gram. So let's calculate the moles of this 1.5 gram. And for mole, we need to calculate the MR first. MR of carbon dioxide plus MR of water. This is 44 and this is 18. So total it would be 62. Now moles that are being lost, mass divided by molar mass, so it would be 0.0241 moles. So this is 0.0241 moles which are being lost. Okay, now compare these lost moles with the reactant, with NaHCO3. Let's compare it. NaHCO3 ratio carbon dioxide plus water. According to equation, it is 2. So 2, and according to equation, they are 1, 2 ratio 1. So if loss of mass is 0.0241, what it would be? We just have to compare it. So moles of NaHCO3 would be 0.0241 times 2, and the answer would be 0.0483 moles. All right. So till here we have calculated moles of NaHCO3, but we need to find out percentage. So how to find out the percentage? We will first find out mass of NaHCO3 by multiplying the moles with its molar mass, which is provided to us in the question. Let me calculate it. 0.0483 times 84, and this is 4.0572 grams. Okay. Still, we need to calculate the percentage by mass. So the formula of percentage by mass is calculated mass, that is 4.0572 divided by the total mass, that was 6, times 100, and it would be 77.74. We can round it off to 68%. So that's how the correct option is C. This question involve a lot of calculation. Okay, question number 12. Electrolysis is used to plate a metal statue with silver. So we are gonna plate a metal statue with silver. Whenever we have to do the electroplating, so always the thing that we have to electroplate, it is made of cathode, and the thing which we use for electroplating, it is used as anode. So here the statue would be cathode, and silver would be anode, and electrolyte will be any salt of silver which is soluble. We have to use any soluble salt of the material which is being used as anode. So statues are cathode. According to this, C and D wouldn't be our option. We have to choose between A or B. Now we have to choose the soluble salt of silver, and that is not AgCl, because AgCl is an insoluble salt. You can look at the solubility of salt table in the chapter salts of your textbook. So the correct option is B. Question number 13. Which row is correct? Purpose of the hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Okay, hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, the equation for the hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, the simplified equation is hydrogen and oxygen, and it is used to produce water. So it produces electrical energy. It's a fuel cell and it gives electrical energy. So that's why A and B wouldn't be our option. We have to choose between C or D. And what are the product? Of course, the product is water. So the correct option would be option D. Question number 14. Some bonds energies data are given in the table, and this equation is being taken place. A value of the enthalpy change of the reaction is calculated by selecting and using the data from the table. What is the value of the delta H? So we have to calculate the delta H. For that we can use this space. Okay, this is the type of the question which is being asked by the examiner almost every year. So for that we are gonna calculate the energy of reactants first. Energy of reactants. Okay, so we have how many bonds of NH? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 NH bonds, and we have 1 N and N bond. So 1 and N bond, and also we have 1 oxygen double bond, oxygen bond. So I will write here oxygen double bond, oxygen bond. Let's calculate it. For the value of NH bond is 390. So it would be multiplied with 390, and it would be 1560. The bond energy of N single bond N bond is 160, and bond energy of oxygen double bond oxygen bond is 496. So let's add all of them. It is 2216. Okay, let's calculate the energy of product. Okay, so we have water here. The structure of water is like that. So one water has 2 OH bond, and we have 2 water molecule here, so we would have 4 OH bonds. 4 OH bonds, and we have 1 N triple bond N bond. Okay, the energy of the OH bond is 460. So 4 times 460, it would be 1840, and the energy of N triple bond N bond is 944. So it would be, by adding, it would be 2784. Now we have the energies of the reactant as well as the product. Let's look at the formula that says delta H is equal to H of reactants minus H of product. So 2216 minus 2784, and it would be 568 kilojoule per mole, and there would be a minus because the bigger value of with the minus sign. The correct option is B. A lot of calculation is being involved in this paper. This is the third question with a lengthy calculation. Okay, next question, question number 15. The rate of reaction between calcium carbonate and dilute hydrochloric acid is measured in the three separate experiments. In experiment number 1, calcium carbonate is powdered and excess of hydrochloric acid is used. Okay. In experiment number 2, calcium carbonate is in lumps and excess of hydrochloric acid is used. And in experiment number 3, calcium carbonate is again in lumps and less hydrochloric acid is used and calcium carbonate is in excess. Okay. So let's break down the options first. If something is being powder, it means it would have larger surface area. And if it would have the larger surface area, then rate of reaction is fast. And if this is so, then there would be maximum loss in mass. So experiment number 1 should be the one with the maximum loss of the mass. It's mean experiment number 1 could be maybe Z, because it involves the maximum loss of mass. Okay. Now next, if something is in lumps, it's mean it would have small surface area, and if this is so, it would have the lower rate of reaction and small mass loss. Okay. If there is lower rate, then there would be a less steeper curve. All right, because the curve of the graph tells us the rate of reaction. If it is less steeper, it means the rate is less. So experiment number 3, in which less hydrochloric acid is being used, it could be experiment number 3. It could be experiment number 3 because the curve is less steeper. So it could be 3 as less hydrochloric acid is used here. And Y seems to be experiment number 2. Okay. So experiment number 1 is shown by X. No. Experiment number 1 is shown by Z. Experiment number 1 is shown by the curve Y. Again, no, it is by Z. Experiment number 2 is shown by curve Y. Yes, it seems to be correct. But look at D. Experiment number 3 is shown by curve Z. No, Z is 1. So 3 must be X. That's how the correct option is C. Okay, question number 16. The equation shows the reversible reaction between nitrogen and hydrogen to form the ammonia. The forward reaction is exothermic. Okay. The forward reaction is exothermic. Which statement is correct when the temperature is increased? Let's look at our concept first. When temperature is increased, rate of reaction increases. And if a reaction is exothermic, then it favors left hand side of equation. So less products are formed, right? Now look at the options. The activation energy is increased. No, activation energy is nothing to do with the temperature. It is related with the catalyst. The equilibrium shifts to form more ammonia. We just have discussed that the less product are formed and the ammonia is in the product. So less ammonia would be formed. So B is incorrect. The rate of forward reaction decreases. No. If the temperature is increased, rate of reaction increases. So again C is the wrong one. The rate at which ammonia decomposes increases. Yes. Less ammonia will be formed. So the rate at which ammonia decomposes increases. Ammonia will be decomposed more and ammonia would be formed less. So D is the correct option. Okay ji, which statement is correct? Ethanoic acid is a weak acid because when it is added to excess alkali, not all the ethanoic acid react. Okay, let's look at the equation first. CH3 COOH plus sodium hydroxide, and it would produce sodium ethanoate plus water. Is a weak acid because when it is added to excess alkali, not all the ethanoic acid react. Ethanoic acid is a weak acid. That's why it will partially dissociate. It will partially react. So this seems to be incorrect. Ethanoic acid is a weak acid, and then sulfuric acid because a smaller proportion of its molecule dissociate in the aqueous solution. Yes, this is the thing that we have discussed in A. It's a weak acid and it's partially ionized. This statement seems to be correct. Hydrochloric acid is a stronger acid than ethanoic acid because hydrochloric acid always have a higher pH than ethanoic acid. Always have a higher pH. Basically, pH is inversely proportional to hydrogen ion concentration. Greater hydrogen ion concentration means less pH. So hydrochloric acid is a stronger acid. It has higher hydrogen ion concentration. It ionizes fully. So its pH must be low. This is incorrect. Sulfuric acid is a stronger acid because it produces 2 hydrogen ions for every molecule that dissociate. Actually, it takes place like that. H2SO4, it first produces hydrogen ion and HSO4 minus 1. Then this HSO4 minus 1 again dissociated and it produces 1 hydrogen ion. and SO4 minus 2. So overall it is like that. H2SO4 will produces 2 hydrogen ion and sulfate ion. Now it seems that sulfuric acid is producing 2 hydrogen ion, but these hydrogen ion are not being produced in the single step. They are produced in 2 different steps. So this is an incorrect option. Our correct option, more appropriate option, is option B. Okay, now question number 18. Some properties of the solid oxide are listed. It reacts with dilute sulfuric acid and gives salt and water. If something is reacting with sulfuric acid, that's an acid, and producing salt and water, so it must be a base. It is insoluble in water, and it reacts with sodium hydroxide as well. If something is reacting with an acid as well as with a base, so it must be amphoteric, because amphoteric oxides are the ones which reacts with acids as well as with the bases. So you must remember that aluminium oxide, zinc oxide and lead oxide, these are the options for the amphoteric oxides. So it's clear that our option is A. Next question. 2 compounds are dissolved separately in water. When the 2 solutions are mixed, there is no observable change. No observable change means there is no gas is being formed and no precipitate is being formed. Okay. So which are these 2 compounds? Okay. When sodium chloride and barium nitrate react, okay, so sodium nitrate and barium chloride will be formed. So what would be the product? Sodium chloride so the product would be sodium nitrate NaNO3 and barium chloride BaCl2. Both are soluble, so no observable change. I think this is the correct option, but look at the other options as well. Next, sodium chloride will form sodium nitrate here, NaNO3. It is double displacement reaction. And lead chloride, PbCl2. It will produce precipitate because it is an insoluble salt. Okay, next, sodium chloride and barium sulfate. It will also produces a precipitate because it's an insoluble salt again. And lastly, sodium chloride and lead sulfate. It will again produces a precipitate because it's an insoluble salt as well. So the correct option stays option A. Part of the periodic table is shown and W, X, Y, Z are not the correct symbol of the element. Which statement is correct? Okay. So basically X and Z, they are from the group 1 alkali metals, and W is from group 6. It must be oxygen, and it is group 7. There must be fluorine, and this one is chlorine. Now look at the options. The compound formed between X and W, X and W has covalent bond. Not at all. X is a metal and it's a non-metal. So a metal and a non-metal form an ionic compound instead. So ionic compound will be formed. This is incorrect. W and Y are both gases. Yes, this is correct. One is oxygen, other is chlorine. Both are gases that contain covalent bond. This is also correct because a non-metal and another non-metal form covalent bond. So this statement is correct. No need to look at the other statement. B is the correct one.